Hey you guys, Vaughn here, taking a look at the first episode of Halo the series, Contact on Paramount Plus, a live-action streaming series based on a video game franchise. How bad could it be? Well, as someone who completed 7 Halo games on Legendary difficulty and still can't make sense of the story despite Halo 2 being my all-time favorite game, into it let's get.
Vaughn Job Vlog.
But before we get into that, check out my friends over at calderalab.com. Their clinically proven skincare line is the best in the league. Check out the Good Serum, the Clean Slate Facial Cleanser, the Base Layer Moisturizer, and this mask known as the Deep. And you can use my promo code FRY15 to save 15% at checkout. Our first episode, Contact, kicks off at a mining colony on some planet. We're introduced to the tensions with the UNSC and their Marines versus these colonist rebels. It's here we meet the protagonist of our series, Quan Ha. Quan is a plucky Asian gal. She's hanging out with the other teens, scoring drugs. But it's here on the outskirts that Quan makes the unfortunate discovery of a Covenant ship searching a nearby cave. Now, instead of being curious, she runs back to her friends and all hell breaks loose. This shit hits the fan. This is TV-14, but kids' limbs are being removed, heads are being blown off. The show is not messing around. The colony braces for attack, but think that it's the UNSC. I guess they don't believe all women. Oh man, that Chevy is out of place as all hell. And just as things are looking their worst, in comes Master Chief Sierra 117 and the Silver Team. I thought Chief was part of Blue Team, but more on that later. Right away, the Covenant recognize the Demon, though he really shouldn't have that name yet. Quan's dad is energy sorted while Chief and co mop up. Weird seeing a female Spartan on the short side. Silver Team investigates the caves. MC touches an artifact, has some visions. Chief sends the others back while he escorts Quan to Reach. That's right, Reach hasn't even fallen yet, and the Covenant are calling Chief Demon. That's like coming into the league calling yourself king. Look, Michael Jordan is not his airness until he wins some titles. On Reach, we're introduced to super hot Dr. Halsey. We get a tease of Cortana, who evidently is more of a clone than an AI hologram for the moment. Halfway expect this to change over the course of the season. Back to lead protagonist Quan, whose ship Chief is humbly borrowing with permission. Quan has a talk with Miranda Keyes via hologram Zoom. Keyes, looking all of 16, tries to get Quan to do some PR crowd control for them. Let the other rebels know that the UNSC are helping them and there's their new combatant in the conflict. We have to unite against the Covenant. Oh, and in case you didn't notice, we have a BIPOC Miranda Keyes now, which means, you guessed it, Daddy Captain Keyes now has a beard. Quan doesn't exactly go along with the plan, so an order is given to say that she died in transit. What good is it for the UNSC to take out Quan, the sole survivor? Because evil government cover-ups are cool. But Quan chats it up with MC, who we learned likely killed her mother because he was just following orders. Great way to get new audiences to not particularly like Master Chief. Chief is given orders to execute Quan, but he's not going to be used again, so he tries to help her escape, gaining her trust by removing his helmet in what is probably the most story-appropriate way to have MC's face revealed. Everyone at Reach is in a panic over Chief disobeying orders for the first time. To Dr. Halsey's credit, she has the rest of Silver Team not turn against Chief. As their ship is flown to the base at Reach, Chief fiddles with the artifact he retrieved from the cave, which ultra conveniently lets out an EMP that allows their ship to escape. Streaming series are always telling a serialized story, and when the drip feed is an episode per week, it's tough to assess the damage. You're getting a look at one chapter of a book. Fans of the games may note ships and warthogs are looking authentic enough. Master Chief's armor has never looked better, but I would have still preferred for Steve Downes to voice the Chief, as Liev Schreiber's little bro has a voice that just doesn't quite cut through the background noise. You get the shield sound from the game, the weapons look familiar, the action is executed well enough for what we've seen so far, though I would have liked a Halo Infinite tie-in. Maybe somebody could could hand Chief a VK-78 Commando, and Chief just throws that gun on the ground and smashes it with his boot. Because that gun is completely useless, and this show needs some comedic relief. I knew ahead of time that this series was looking to stray from the game's established canon and lore. From a creative perspective, it makes sense so as not to have to replicate everything previously seen in the games verbatim. That said, the point can be made that translating the Halo property into a streaming series is supposedly to please the fans. Personally, I think it's better to say we're starting anew rather than directly retconning the story fans have invested in. As such, this is being dubbed the Silver Timeline. You could say it's for the Silver Team, but perhaps it's in reference to the Silver Screen. With hopes that all live-action Halo media going forward can trace back to this starting point. Although at times it does look cheap. Less Avatar, more Battlestar Galactica. They threw Steven Spielberg's Amblin in here for some reason. Though I thought Ridley Scott had Nightfall looking more cinematic. But by going with this offshoot timeline approach, Halo the series is likely not aimed directly at fans of the games and is instead hoping to garner new viewers. Because let's face it, the timeline in this story is so jumbled up, it's going to be easier for you to make sense of it if you go in without any previous knowledge. I'm not sure how you gain fans by heading to a less popular streaming platform. I'm watching the show on Paramount Plus with a free month courtesy of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate's perk, and I signed up for the premium no commercial version, and yet there is a pinwheel loading screen when commercials would have been put in the show. And that, kids, is the telltale sign of a streaming platform no one is watching. But at least you can win over critics by injecting a more than healthy dose of estrogen. Because in this version of Halo, there is no shortage of women in power barking orders. There's even some strong, powerful white chick called Blessed One hanging out at the top of the Covenant hierarchy, just so little girls watching can be inspired. Look, I'm intrigued. That's not high praise, but if you so demand, I'll check in on the series throughout the season, so let me know in the comments below.
If you appreciate a YouTube channel that doesn't just pad out content to get to the 8-minute mark so that it can hammer you with ad breaks, then you should subscribe to my son's channel. You just got done watching it.